Hey, Steph Page here with SMP TV and Truth for Thursdays. I wanted to welcome you back for week 2 of Truth for Thursday. And if you didn't get to see last week's Truth for Thursday and you're wondering what it's all about and what the heart is behind SMP TV and Truth for Thursdays, I welcome you to watch last week's video. You know, Easter is coming up. And my grandma would call it Resurrection Day. On Sunday, it's Resurrection Day. And, you know, maybe you do Lent or maybe you don't. Or, you know, maybe you've been thinking about it this month or the last 40 days or just this week, but you know, whoever you are, you've probably been thinking about Easter, because we all know that it's not really about a bunny who lays eggs, because bunnies don't lay eggs. So you know, whoever you are, you've probably been thinking about Easter, and you know, when I think of Easter, I think of Jesus, and I think of how he lived and how he died and who he is. And I've been studying Isaiah this year, and I've been really thinking about Isaiah 53, and I just welcome you to look at it with me. Isaiah 53, starting at verse 2, says, "He grew up before him like a tender shoot and like a root out of dry ground. He had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him, nothing in his appearance that we should desire him. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and familiar with suffering. Like one from whom men hide their faces, he was despised, and we esteemed him not." You know, earlier in Isaiah, in chapter 52, right before this, it says that his appearance was so disfigured beyond that of any man, his form marred beyond human likeness. You know, I don't like to think of Jesus like this. I think of him beautiful. I think of him radiant. I think of him as something that's attractive, someone who's attractive. And that's not the picture that's painted here. The picture that's painted here is that he was rejected. He was rejected by man. He was a man of sorrows. He was familiar with suffering, and he was one from whom men hid their faces. He was marred beyond recognition. And, you know, when I see that Jesus in my mind, and when I think about the days leading up to Easter, to the resurrection, when I think about Good Friday and what Jesus did for me, you know, there's just been a picture this year that's been stuck in my mind, and I want to try and transform the picture that's in my mind to your mind. I want you to try and get this with me, because when I look at him and I see him, I see his eyes, and I see his eyes, and they're looking right at me. And, you know, in his eyes, I don't see him pointing the finger at me and saying, "You sinful person, how terrible. I can't believe I have to do this for you. I can't believe I have to endure this pain for you." You know, all of that. I don't see that in his eyes. You know what I see in his eyes? I see love for me. I see compassion. I see understanding. I see him saying, you know, I know what it feels like to be rejected because I was rejected. I know what it feels like to suffer because I've suffered. I know what it feels like to have people turn their face from me and not understand, and because I did it. And, you know, God knew what he was doing when he went to the cross. Jesus knew what he was doing when he went to the cross. It says that he went knowingly. It says that he went like a lamb before the slaughter. He was silent. You know, he didn't defend himself because he loved me. He loved you. He did it for you, and he did it for me, and he knew exactly what he was doing, and he did it out of love and compassion. And, you know, life is hard. In Hebrews 12, starting at verse 1, it says, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. Let us fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinful men, so you will not grow weary and lose heart." You know, I was talking to a young person today, and she was telling me that she is going through some hard things in her life because life is hard. This is not a new revelation. Life is hard. Jesus said it was going to be hard. He said, "In the world you will have troubles," but he said, "I've overcome the world." He says, "I've been there." And this verse, Hebrews, it says, For the joy set before him, he endured the cross. He's been there. He endured the cross. He endured the pain. He endured the suffering. He endured the shame for the joy set before him. And you know what? He's telling you, don't grow weary. Don't lose heart. For the joy set before you, if you've given your life to him, you have joy in him. You have joy that goes beyond this world and behind your hard circumstances. He has a plan for you. And so for the joy set before you, don't grow weary. Don't lose heart. And I hope that this resurrection season, this Easter week, this Easter weekend, tomorrow as you're at a Good Friday service, or Sunday as you're at a Resurrection Day service, Easter service, that you can picture Jesus like this, that you can picture the one who understands what you're going through, who has been through it himself, and who wants to walk with you through it. He's telling you, don't grow weary. Don't lose heart. Keep your eyes fixed on me. We'll see you next time.